We're now going to have a trip on the Skagit River Railway. And as a matter of fact, in this scene, this is my wife and my sister and my daughter taken as we were about to embark on a trip with Ken Hodgeson, who took these films, to the Skagit River Railway. Now, this isn't related in any way to the BC Electric system or the Vancouver system. This is in Skagit River, Washington, and was a railway operated by the City of Seattle to serve as a connection to their powerhouse and dam system. The City of Seattle generates power and light on the Skagit River. And so these cars were old interurban cars from the Oregon Electric Railway, which had been demotorized and were serving as trailers and were pulled by electric locomotives. This was a highly scenic line, and was a popular excursion for a day trip. One could drive to Newhalem, and that was the end of the highway. And at that point, you could take passage on the trains and also have a combination dinner trip, which would provide a meal in the mess hall, I guess you'd call it, for the construction workers. And then the train, of course, it would take you from Newhalem up what they call the Gorge, and the train is now traversing the Gorge to the foot of Diablo Dam. And here we are with an electric locomotive pulling 3 former Oregon Electric passenger cars up the Gorge. This area is now covered by the North Cascades Highway, although the highway runs at a much higher elevation than the railway did. And at this point, the train is crossing the Skagit River and going on to the other side. These cars were nicely refurbished and provided a most scenic trip. When we reach the top end at Diablo Dam, we will leave the train and go up the side of the dam on a lift, and then we'll take a trip on Diablo Lake. We're now passing the Gorge Dam on our way up to Diablo. As you can see, we have a very nice warm summer day here, and these cars didn't have screens on the side, the windows open, and one was able to lean out and enjoy the scenery, and of course it was ideal for taking the type of pictures that we have on this film. The line was abandoned probably in the early 1950s, I believe, and then of course the North Cascades Highway was completed, and now one can travel past this point right through into central Washington, through Winthrop and into the Wenatchee area by car. Again, crossing one of the bridges, and a beautiful view of the Cascade Mountains, and now coming to the easternmost terminus of the line, and at which point the passengers will disembark. You can see the Diablo powerhouse there, and here's the train coming around the corner into the station. At this point, we'll board a skip which goes up the side of the hill alongside the Diablo Dam. And then we'll transfer to another short segment of the railway, which operated along Diablo Dam, where we will board a boat. Now this is the skip, or the lift, and you can see it's large enough to accommodate railway cars, and it's a counterbalance. You can see the counterbalance just moving under the lift as the lift comes down towards the lower station. Passengers just stood on the lift, as you can see in the picture. And you can see the rails that connect with it, so that it's possible to put railway cars onto this lift for the other section. Now this view is from the lift, of course, looking down towards the passenger train, which we have just left, and shows the steepness of the grade. Now at the top, there's another electric car waiting for us, and here we are now on this short section running alongside Diablo Dam with Diablo Lake in the background. And at this point we're going to board that passenger boat, which was shown briefly, and we'll sail on the lake to the foot of Ross Dam. There was no road or rail extension beyond this point, so the only means of getting through to the dam was by the lake, and presumably the construction supplies for Ross Dam were transported via this railway, the lift and the other railway, and transported onto, or transferred onto barges and barged up the lake to provide the materials for Ross Dam. The lake narrows as you approach Ross Dam. An area of great scenic beauty, of course. One is in the Cascade Mountains, and it's extremely pretty. You can see the lake is narrowing into the gorge, and of course this was all riverbed at one time. And there's a picture of Ross Dam, and as many of you know, Ross Lake extends across the Canadian border and is really just below Hope, BC. There's Ross Dam and the Ross Powerhouse. And then the return trip, of course, on the lake back to Diablo, and then the train to Newhalem, and then the automobile home. So something that is not available today, but was a very interesting trip that one could take up until the early 1950s.